I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and this is the brand new second-gen Hyundai Kona. I'm at the reveal event in Germany where Hyundai have shown us not one, not two, but three new Kona models, which all look remarkably distinctive, especially from the outside. On the channel, I've got videos with the new fully electric Kona, the first for Australia Kona Hybrid, but also I'm going to talk about this one, which is the new Kona N Line. Now, since the facelift of the first gen Kona, you've been able to get an N Line package for the Kona. However, they're bringing it back and it's more enhanced than ever before, particularly around the back, where I'm going to take you in just a couple of minutes. But you'll be able to get the N Line package on 3 of the 4 Konas coming to Australia. There's going to be a 2-litre entry-level model, pretty much an upgraded version of the current engine, 110 kilowatt MPI naturally aspirated petrol. There's again going to be a 146 kilowatt 1.6 turbo petrol with all-wheel drive, and there's also going to be that hybrid, 104 kilowatt hybrid. You won't be able to get the N Line package on the Kona Electric, unfortunately, because I think that would have been really cool, particularly because the styling is the most aggressive of the lot. You can tell that down here in the front apron. It's also the only Kona with exhaust pipes, which I'll show you around the back in just a sec. But I love some of the detailing on the Kona, including this absolutely lovely horizon light, they're calling this light bar, that runs right across the front end of the car. The paints are looking deeper before, the alloys are looking better, up to 19 inches on this car. And as we start to move down the side of the vehicle, you're going to notice some common traits with the existing model. So we've got the N Line badge here on the side, and the N Line is going to get your black contrast roof and mirrors, and I just think it gives this SUV a really nice look. Now, as we also start to move down the side, you're going to notice that the new Kona is a much bigger car, 175 millimeters longer, 60 millimeters longer in the wheelbase, so considerably more practical. But what does it look like at the back? Let's have a look now. Well, here around the back, it's easily the N Line that's the most aggressive looking Kona. Now, normally that role would be reserved for the Kona N. Unfortunately, I've got to tell you that the Kona N is not coming back anytime soon. And the reason for that is the European Union's Euro 7 emissions laws, which will come into effect in 2025. That's 2 years away from now, but 2 years is nothing in the automotive industry. Hyundai doesn't think it's going to be able to get its 2-litre turbo engine past European regulators, so they've made the decision to cut off the Kona N at this point, but they reserve the right to bring it back as an EV later on. But the Kona N would only come back as an EV. That's also likely to be the case for the i30N, which we think will be reborn in the latter part of the 2020s as a fully electric car. But back to the vehicle in question, the Kona N Line. The spoiler is incredible, really. I mean, it looks like something off a much higher performance car than a 146 kilowatt 1.6 turbo, but this looks very cool. I love the red and black contrast on this car, and as I mentioned before, the Kona N Line is also the only spec which is going to have visible exhaust pipes down here, and you've also got this kind of faux diffuser, which, you know, is a little heavy-handed, but it also looks pretty cool. You're also going to catch some of these classic Kona design traits, like the light bubbles down here, although, of course, the main event with the lighting is this really broad light bar, which mirrors the one up front. Now, if I open up the power tailgate, noticing the new Kona lettering across the back, you're going to see that Hyundai have given us a more practical boot this time around. It's bigger at 455 litres. It's going to be wider and taller in terms of the opening, and that power tailgate certainly makes life a bit easier when you need to walk away from the car with your shopping. But let's jump inside now and check out how the N Line gets spiced up in the cabin. Well, what you're going to notice inside the cabin of the new Kona N Line is far more red highlights than before, including on this new restyled N Line steering wheel, which has got red stitching and perforated leather running around the edge, which is really cool. Plus, this car, being the 1.6 turbo, has got the paddle shifters, and the automatic shifter is actually on the steering column, which is pretty cool, and it liberates a bunch of space down here in your center console for more storage, which is a nice touch. You got things like wireless device charging, seat heating and cooling, even on these suede seats, which is a really great touch. And speaking of the seats, they've got sort of red jewel lines running down them, and you've got your, as I said, mix of vinyl and suede. So it feels reasonably premium, but not massively high end or anything like that, and that's reflected in the fact that the Kona still has a bunch of scratchy materials, which is a shame because Hyundai have said that they didn't make any compromises or spare any expense in terms of the quality, but they've clearly still had to go for some more down market interiors in order to get the car to a price, but that's common. What hasn't been skimped on though is the technology package, which looks really cool. Beautiful wraparound glass up here on the screen. It's like Porsche Taycan style. Two 12.3-inch screens running Hyundai's software, but that's probably going to mean still no wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You'll have to plug in a cable for that stuff. But the integrated software with over-the-air updates is cool, and a whole bunch of new features will be released as time goes on. Plus, we've still got physical buttons for the infotainment, for the climate, for the drive modes, all that sort of thing, and the all-wheel drive system on this car, which is going to please people that don't like having all of their climate controls in the screen. Plus, we've got a sunroof and a black headliner for the N Line versions as well. So inside, it's a nice step up from the current car, but let's check out that back seat. The emphasis in the back of the new Kona is on more space. So I've adjusted this driver's seat for me. As you can see, I can sit behind myself despite being 6 foot tall. My headroom is pretty good. My legroom is really, really good. And you could even get a third person, I think, in the middle. It's a bit more spacious in the back than the electric version, where you do notice a higher floor. The petrol and hybrid versions have a lower floor, which just makes it feel a little bit easier to ride in, but the difference isn't massive actually. Now, we've got air vents in this car. In my hybrid video on the channel, I complained about the fact that car didn't have air vents. That seemed to be a bit more of a base model, whereas this N Line is quite a high-spec car, as was the Kona Electric I filmed with. So it seems to be that on the higher spec, you will get rear air vents, which is good. We've also got USB charge points, we've got map pockets in the back, a flip-down armrest, and just a comfortable, spacious, relatively wide back seat that's going to make this Kona more usable than the last one. And I think that's the whole story of this car. A bit bigger, a bit more refined, a bit more special, but it also will be a little bit more expensive. How much, we'll have to wait and see, but the petrol Konas will be released in Australia in mid-2023, with the hybrid and electric coming in the fourth quarter. So we'll probably find out about pricing very soon. Well, that's a first look at the new Kona N Line. Make sure to catch my videos of the hybrid and the electric on the Chasing Cars channel. While you're here, drop me a comment, let me know your first impression of the car. And as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.